Miss Fedia walked through the hallways of Arcelia Magic Academy, her mind occupied with the documents she needed to handle. She spotted Miss Lilith, the new teacher who had been causing a stir ever since her mysterious arrival. "Good morning, Miss Fedia," Miss Lilith greeted her. "Good morning," Fedia replied curtly. "Miss Lilith, can we talk for a moment?" Lilith smiled. Good morning, Miss Fedia." Fedia nodded, aware of how the Academy's whispers still surrounded Lilith. Ever since she started in the spring, people couldn't stop gossiping about her. No one knew much about Lilith's past, other than that she was personally recommended by the headmaster himself. Her work history and academic background remained completely unknown. "About the documents I asked for earlier," Fedia began. "Oh, those? I've already filed them for you this morning," Lilith said, her voice soft but firm. "I see," Fedia responded, trying not to show her surprise. "Thank you very much." "You're welcome," Lilith replied with a slight bow. "I'm just glad I can be of help." Fedia couldn't help but think about how the Academy staff initially accused Lilith of using personal connections to get her job. But over time, most of them had come to see her true talents, herself included. Their conversation was suddenly interrupted by a boisterous voice. "Top of the morning to you, Miss Lilith," called Mr. Cantor, striding up with a swagger. "Good morning to you too, Mr. Cantor," Lilith replied politely. "But damn, you're just as beautiful as ever." Cantor smirked. "Say, are you free tonight? I know a great spot in the Central District that serves the best beer." "I'm very sorry, but I think I have to decline," Lilith said with an apologetic smile. That sucks. Looks like I got rejected again today." "Ha ha ha." Nearby, two other teachers whispered to each other. "Hey look, Mr. Cantor's at it again." "Poor Miss Lilith." Fedia's patience snapped. "Excuse me, Mr. Cantor. Can you please stop inviting her so persistently?" Cantor raised an eyebrow in surprise. "Oh, this is unusual. I would have never guessed that Miss Fedia would approach little old me. Could it be that you're jealous of her?" Fedia's eyes narrowed, but Cantor wasn't done. "It's a real shame, you know. After all, you're quite pretty yourself, Miss Fedia. I mean, you'd hit dead center of my strike zone if you were 3 years younger." Fedia clenched her fists, but Cantor kept going. "But don't worry, sooner or later a perfect person will appear for you. Someday." Fedia's face flushed with anger. "What a disgrace. I've never been humiliated like this before." "Oh, right, Mr. Cantor," Lilith interrupted. "Yes." Cantor turned, suddenly hopeful. "Did you change your mind, Miss Lilith?" "No," she said, her smile not reaching her eyes. "I just wanted to remind you that the headmaster wants to have a word with you regarding a certain group of students. It seems you turned a blind eye when they cheated during the hunt. A very respectable sport, wouldn't you agree?" Cantor's smirk vanished. I understand." The school bell chimed, and Cantor muttered, "Guess it's all good then." "Like hell it is," Fedia thought, still fuming. That was far from enough. As Cantor slunk away, Fedia felt the sting of his words. How dare he humiliate me like that? Women here usually marry in their teens and have children by their mid-20s. My friends all did. It's not like I wasn't popular in school. She recalled a distant memory of a boy asking her out, but her catastrophic personality always seemed to ruin things. A perfect person? My ass. Fedia mumbled angrily to herself. What do you think I am, some delusional girl? I know the line between ideals and reality. I'm not waiting for a prince on a white horse. She stormed into the academy gym, her mind still swirling. Knew it. Muscles are the best, she muttered, glancing at the weights. They'll never betray me. As she began her routine, she noticed a familiar figure. If I remember correctly, his name is Abel, right? She saw him almost every day in the gym. His running form was perfect, lean, but clearly well-trained. Wait, stop at me. What am I doing, getting fascinated by a younger boy? Fedia shook her head, scolding herself. No matter how mature he looks, he's still a decade younger than you. Besides, it's inappropriate for a teacher to think of a student like that. Miss, are you okay? Abel's voice startled her. She glanced over and saw him lift a barbell with one hand. Where in the world does he hide that strength in his slender body? Fedia thought, flustered. She opened her mouth, tried to say something. Why can't I just say, thank you? It's just Phidia stammered. This isn't like you, miss, Abel said, his tone calm. Besides, you don't seem focused today. You noticed that? Phidia blinked. Of course, Abel replied. We're the only ones who use the gym at this hour. Phidia stared at him, surprised by his attentiveness. I thought he was just an apathetic boy who didn't pay attention to others, but he's more perceptive than I thought. Thank you, she finally managed to say. You're welcome. Abel smiled, grabbing his towel. Anyway, I'll excuse myself. I've already finished my routine. As he walked out, Phidia watched him go, her thoughts spinning. Come to think of it, he's Miss Lilith's little brother, isn't he? An older sister-in-law, who's younger than me. She slapped her forehead. Stop thinking about that, she scolded herself. But deep down, she couldn't help but notice the muscle of love had started to swell. It was a bright, clear morning at the Arcelia Magic Academy, and Abel, as always, had something in mind. Hey, Abel, one of his classmates called out. What are you up to today? Abel smirked. It's about time. He had promised Eliza to go to the royal capital with her, and, knowing her, she'd already be waiting for him. He needed to submit his leave permit before they could leave the academy, though. Well, looks like I'll have to deal with the leave permit first, Abel thought, filling out the form with shopping at the Central District as the reason for his trip. He knew it was just an excuse, but he wasn't keen on explaining everything to the teachers. His main concern, however, was who would be in charge today. If it was one of the stricter staff members, he might not be able to leave at all. As he approached the front desk, he was greeted by a familiar voice. Good morning, Master Abel. Looking up, Abel smirked. So, you're the one in charge today, huh? It was Lilith, one of the teachers at the academy, known for being particularly strict but surprisingly easy to fluster. That's right, Lilith replied, raising an eyebrow. Abel handed over the form. Take this, he said nonchalantly. A leave permit form? Lilith glanced at it a bit surprised. How unusual. What business do you have in the capital today? I've got some things to take care of, Abel responded vaguely. But then Lilith narrowed her eyes. A female student named Eliza submitted the exact same thing earlier. She's your classmate, isn't she? Are you two going together? Abel grinned, sensing a chance to tease her. Who knows? Want to take a guess? Lilith's usual strict demeanor faltered, and for a brief moment, Abel thought he saw a flash of something akin to jealousy. I've been wanting to talk to you about this, she suddenly blurted out, her face flushed. You need to submit your leave permit form at least a day before. Do you even understand your responsibility as a student of Arcelia Magic Academy? Abel couldn't help but chuckle inwardly. Wow, she's really flustered today. Meanwhile, two other students watched the exchange from a distance. Look, isn't that Miss Lilith? One of them whispered. I wonder what she's doing over there. The other student chuckled. She's probably just scolding him. Back at the desk, Lilith was still rambling, her voice stern but clearly trying to hide her flustered state. And let me tell you this, it's definitely not because I got jealous or anything, okay? Oh, so you did get jealous, Abel teased. I did not. All right, Abel said, holding up his hands in mock surrender. I'll be careful on my day off. Thanks for accepting the form, Miss Lilith. Lilith, still trying to regain her composure, nodded briskly. Be careful. Abel couldn't help but think how rare it was to see Lilith get so agitated. She usually keeps such a straight face. But she has a cute side too, huh? Later, Abel made his way to the royal capital, and sure enough, Eliza was already waiting for him in front of the Grand Reuven commemorative clock tower. Ah, there you are, Abel, she called out, waving. Sorry, have you been waiting long? Abel shook his head. Not really, I just got here too. But then he hesitated, glancing at her. But, I gotta admit, I didn't expect to hear sorry from you, Eliza. Eliza raised an eyebrow. Just what kind of person do you think I am? She smirked. Never mind that. You have the honor of having me as your escort today. After all, as they walked, Eliza pointed out the clock tower. By the way, this is the Reuven commemorative clock tower. On clear days like this, you can see the whole royal capital from here. Look, you can even see the sea. Abel was impressed. I saw a steamboat, he exclaimed. If I remember correctly, that's the type of boat that uses magic stones as fuel, right? Exactly, Eliza grinned. I've read about it before. but it's way more exciting seeing it in person. Abel couldn't help but agree. Looks like today's going to be a lot of fun. They continued their tour through the capital, but Abel couldn't shake the feeling that Eliza was hiding something. "What's up?" he asked, noticing her sudden quietness. Oh, nothing really," Eliza replied quickly. "Anyway, let's move on to the next spot." As they walked, Abel noticed a loud noise coming from a nearby building. "Hey, what's this place? I keep hearing loud noises from inside." "Oh, that's a game center," Eliza explained. "It's a place where people with too much free time waste their time and money." Abel was intrigued. "A game center? Huh? Should we drop by and check it out?" Eliza smiled. "Sure, let's go. To tell you the truth, I've never been in one either, so this could be interesting." And with that, the two continued their day off, unaware that someone, or something, was observing them closely from the shadows. Abel and Eliza strolled into the game center, eyes wide at the colorful array of machines. "It's our first time here," Abel noted, scanning the rows of games. "They have card games, chess, even tabletop games." Eliza tilted her head, her eyes drawn to the clattering machines in the back. "I wonder what those are?" Abel smirked. "Slot machines. I read about them once. People buy tokens, aim for the jackpot, and if they win, they can exchange the tokens for real money." Eliza raised an eyebrow. "So they spend money hoping it might increase? I don't get it." A nearby attendant chimed in. "Kids aren't allowed to play with the slots, you know. You should try the all-ages section instead." Abel and Eliza wandered off, the hum of the game center fading as they entered a quieter zone. Eliza's eyes sparkled as she spotted something familiar. "Look, it's a minimum monster," she exclaimed. "I love these toys." Abel squinted at the crane machine. "So, what exactly is this minimum monster?" "They're characters based on legendary beasts from the past. There are over 200 to collect, and it's becoming popular here in the capital." Eliza beamed, pointing out her favorite. "This one's called Jamie's." Abel chuckled. "Jamie's? Oh? Sounds familiar. Strong beast, if I remember right. Tough fight." Eliza blinked in surprise. "Wait, are you serious?" "Yeah," Abel replied casually, recalling a long-ago battle. "Jamie's was a mutated monster. Took wind magic to defeat it. Turned entire villages to stone. But we managed to save them." Eliza gawked at him. "You've got to be joking." Abel shrugged, a faint grin on his lips. "Well, now you know. Let's leave it at that." Eliza's expression softened, her usual confidence faltering for a moment. "Do you think I'm weird? I mean, other girls like cute things, but I prefer strong creatures." Abel looked at her thoughtfully. "It's not about appearances, Eliza. What matters is what's on the inside." Eliza brightened, smiling. "You're right. But this doll version of Jamie's is pretty cute too." She stared longingly at the crane game. "Want it?" Abel asked. "Well, yeah, but the claw's too weak to grab it." "It's impossible." Abel grinned. "Impossible? Isn't it our job as magicians to make the impossible possible?" Before Eliza could respond, Abel enchanted the claw with a spell, strengthening its grip. In one swift motion, he snatched the doll and handed it to her. "Here, for you." Eliza clutched the doll, her face flushed. I'll take good care of it." Abel smirked as they left the game center. Eliza, for some reason, wouldn't meet his gaze. Later, they wandered through the streets, stopping by a crepe stall. Eliza eagerly devoured her treat, her mood lifting. "As I thought, the crepes here are amazing," she exclaimed. Abel watched her with amusement. "Aren't you eating a bit too much? We already visited a few food stalls. Want a bite?" Eliza offered, holding out her crepe. "Sure." Abel took a bite, savoring the sweetness. "It's good." Eliza grinned. "See? I told you. This place never disappoints." Abel raised an eyebrow. "You do realize that's what they call an indirect kiss, right?" Eliza froze, her face turning red. "Wah! It's nothing special. Just normal," she stammered. "I don't mind it. Not even a little." Abel chuckled softly. Okay. As they continued walking, they found themselves on a charming old-fashioned road. The vibe was different here, quieter, almost nostalgic. "This road feels special," Abel remarked. Eliza nodded. It's got a retro look, right? It's one of the more unique areas in the capital. Abel looked around, memories stirring in his mind. Retro? Funny. What feels nostalgic to me is now considered retro. Eliza looked at him curiously. Can I ask you something? Sure. Who are you really, Abel? She asked, her voice soft but serious. Abel stood in silence, deep in thought. I knew this question would come up sooner or later, he mused, glancing at Eliza, who looked at him expectantly. But I never imagined it would be today. She shifted slightly, her curiosity clear. Abel could feel the weight of her question. Who are you, really? He chuckled to himself. If people find out I'm a reincarnated mage from 200 years ago, troubles will pile up, and that would ruin my dream of a peaceful school life. He took a deep breath, trying to figure out how to respond. Suddenly, his expression changed. Eliza, can you tilt your head a bit? Eliza blinked, surprised by the sudden request. Like this? She asked, tilting her head. Yep, just like that, Abel said before quickly moving his hand in a sweeping motion. Boom! There was a bug behind you, he explained casually. Eliza stared at him, a little flustered. Wait, did you just use your full power for that? Abel let out a small laugh. Did you think I gave it my all just now? No way. Sure, the regalia that stalks me might be agile, but even then, I barely used a. Eliza frowned slightly. I guess you're right. Handing her a small token, Abel added, Here be more. Eliza accepted it, her earlier question forgotten. So, about what I asked before. Abel raised an eyebrow. Yeah. She hesitated, then waved it off. Never mind. You don't have to answer. Forget I asked. Abel smiled softly. Convenient for me, he thought. Lying about my origin always leaves a bitter taste in my mouth. Abel. Eliza's voice softened, her eyes a little unsure. Would you accompany me around the royal capital again next time? Sure, why not? Abel agreed easily. As they parted ways, Abel sighed. Well, that's one problem solved. But almost immediately, he felt a familiar sensation. Someone was watching him. Not the usual regalia this time. He could feel the presence of a human, hiding nearby. His eyes narrowed. Sorry, Eliza. But can you go on without me? I just remembered something I need to take care of in the capital, he said. Eliza nodded. Okay then. See you tomorrow at school, Abel. As she walked away, Abel turned, his voice growing cold. All right, come out. I know you're there. A shadow moved, and from it stepped a woman with gray eyes, her skin blending perfectly with her surroundings. Smart boy. You knew what I was here for, didn't you? Abel's eyes flickered. A gray-eyed magician. You've mastered blending into the environment, huh? Let me guess. Your half-naked appearance is to increase the magic's effectiveness. She smirked. Let's just have some fun, all right? I love boys who figure things out quickly. Another presence stirred, and Abel's senses sharpened. There's another one. Hiding in the shadows, isn't there? A second figure emerged, a man with green eyes. Damn, he muttered. Guess I've lost my touch. To think a boy like you could sense me. Abel studied them, intrigued. They're strong, especially for this period. Definitely the strongest I've encountered so far. His gaze darkened. Who sent you? The gray-eyed woman shrugged. Sorry, kiddo. Professionals don't give up their clients' names. Abel smiled faintly. That's great news. It would have been boring if you broke too soon. Her smile widened. Oh, we won't crack that easily. But you? Let's see how long you last. The tension in the air thickened. Abel's eyes glowed as his magic surged. You won't be leaving this place alive, he said quietly. The gray-eyed magician chuckled darkly. I love it when they fight back. Her movements quickened as she dodged Abel's first strike. Damn, you're good. Who would have thought our target was such a cute boy? Her words made Abel grimace, but his focus remained razor-sharp. Since I reincarnated into this period, I haven't had a serious fight. But now, the air crackled with energy as Abel prepared for his first true battle in 200 years. In a world where no one would seriously pick a fight with a bug, much less discuss the stars with a monkey, there was no living soul who dared speak of magic with the boy genius, Emerson. Emerson, once a bright-eyed student at the Magic Academy, now stood alone, dismantling yet another regalia. He wanted to make a more powerful one, whispered one student to another. The excitement in their voices was palpable when one of them proudly showed off a brand new regalia. "Damn, that looks so cool," his friends exclaimed in awe. But Emerson, with his sharp eyes and genius mind, saw through it immediately. "The magical structure and shape don't align well," he said casually. "I could fix it for you if—" "Nah, no need," came the abrupt reply. Emerson's offer was turned down. "Sorry," he muttered, looking a little dejected. The other students whispered behind his back, jealousy thick in their voices. "Geniuses sure have it easy, don't they? He's getting so cocky these days. Yeah, I bet he looks down on us plebeians." It was true. Emerson's once lively spirit had dulled. When he first entered the academy, he tried everything to make others understand him. But the truth soon became clear. "Why should I lower myself in front of people who are clearly inferior to me?" he thought bitterly. How agonizing, how vexing, how boring. The weight of being a genius was heavier than he could bear. "A diamond won't shine if it's not polished," he mused. But to polish a diamond, you needed another diamond. And Emerson had found none. No one at the academy could match him. No one in the Kronos Association could rival him. What was the point of all this talent if there was no one to challenge him? One day, Emerson found himself grading papers, his mind numb with boredom. But suddenly one paper caught his eye. Wait, could it be? His heart raced as he read further. A student had solved the unsolvable, Deeperonic's final theorem. And not just that, he had even elaborated on ways to improve it. This is no ordinary student. His name is Abel. Excitement surged through Emerson. I need to know more about this boy. If I can understand him, I might reach new heights myself. But Emerson's excitement was short-lived. He had hired two of the world's best magicians, Bardot of the Gale and the bewitching Musson, to eliminate Abel. Even with his power, there's no way Abel could survive against professionals like them. He leaned back in his chair, waiting eagerly for news of Abel's defeat. Just how far could the boy go against such formidable opponents? Suddenly, the door creaked open. Sorry for bothering you," a voice called out. Emerson's eyes widened in disbelief. "What? How did you get in here?" "This room is protected by a magical barrier." Abel stood before him, calm and composed. "That barrier?" he asked casually. It was about as useful as putting a piece of paper between the door and the jamb. Emerson's shock deepened. Very few people in the association could break that barrier, but this boy. "So, why are you here?" Emerson asked, trying to regain his composure. Abel's voice was cold and sharp. "Stop tracking me." Emerson forced a laugh. "What are you talking about?" "Don't pretend," Abel continued. "Your assassins told me everything." "They told him?" Emerson's mind raced. Did he use mind control magic on them? "What if I refuse?" Emerson asked, his voice trembling slightly. Abel's eyes darkened. "I'll kill you right now." Emerson froze. What incredible killing intent. His heart pounded in his chest. "Fine," he conceded. "You win this time. I'll stop tracking you." Abel turned to leave, but paused at the door. "I'm just a student," he said. "I want to live a normal life." Emerson's laugh was hollow. "A normal life? With your power? You could change the entire world if you wanted." Abel's response was quick. "I'm not interested." And with that, he slammed the door behind him. Emerson sat in stunned silence. This boy, he's different. I've met countless geniuses, but Abel, they're nothing compared to him. A slow smile crept across Emerson's face. "One day, I'll surpass you, Abel," he whispered. "One day." While taking a shower, Eliza's mind wandered, her thoughts completely consumed by Abel. Today was such a nice day, she mused, feeling the warmth of the water. Abel was so nice, but she paused, letting her thoughts swirl like the steam around her. I'm so stupid. How should I ask him?" She sighed, realizing the difficulty. It's obvious that Abel is not a normal guy. Who really is he, and how is he able to possess such great power? She knew the truth. There was still a huge gap between her and Abel. No matter how close they got, it felt like they were worlds apart. Come to think of it, Abel, I wonder what he's doing right now. Her heart fluttered unexpectedly. Wait, this feeling. Why do I want to see him right now? She suddenly remembered. Right. I still haven't thanked him about the whole Jamie's incident. The Academy's rules were clear. Do not visit the opposite sex's room. But then she rationalized, however, in case of emergency, this rule can be avoided. She smirked. Then it's fine. It's an emergency for me to go and thank him. She dried off quickly, dressed, and peeked outside her dorm room. Seems like there's no one out here. She knew that in the first-year dormitory, boys lived on the first and second floors while girls stayed on the third and fourth. But teachers also stayed on the third floor, so taking the stairs was risky. There's no other way. I have to take the risk. It would be awkward if someone were to see me like this. Her heart pounded as she quietly made her way down the hallway. He must be here somewhere, she whispered to herself as she approached Abel's room. But then, she noticed the door was slightly ajar. Why is Lilith-sensei here? Eliza froze at the doorway, her eyes widening as she overheard the conversation. Lilith-sensei, how was your trip? Abel, quite helpful, I would say. It's midnight now. Eliza's thoughts raced. Why would a teacher be in a student's room at this hour? Her curiosity deepened. Lilith-sensei, it's quite late. How about I sleep here tonight? Abel, no, you can't. I told you, we have to be careful in the dormitory. Eliza's heart raced. What exactly is their relationship? Suddenly, she gasped. Both of them were kissing. The cool, composed Lilith-sensei can be that passionate. The next day, still in shock, Eliza confided in her friend Yukari. Eliza, Yukari, it's true that Abel and Lilith-sensei are dating, right? Yukari chuckled. Yukari, relax, Eliza. You don't have to be worried. Eliza, what do you mean? Yukari, grinning, because Abel-kun and Lilith-sensei are siblings. Eliza, what? Really? Yukari, laughing, you don't know? It's a popular story among the freshmen. They're both amazing in different fields. Lilith-sensei, an excellent teacher with a beautiful face, and Abel, a top student with a bright future. Eliza, confused, but what about last night? If they're siblings, why did they kiss each other? Yukari giggled. Yukari, well, in some close-knit families, kissing is common, you know? Eliza, bewildered, see comment? For real? Yukari nodded. Yukari, yep, they're siblings, so it's fine for them to do that. Eliza took a deep breath, letting Yukari's words settle in. You're right, they're siblings, so it's fine. Yeah, she said, feeling reassured. Later that day, they went out to a bakery to celebrate. Yukari, I ordered 2 dishes since I thought you'd like some. Eliza, grinning, really? I love you so much. Thank you, Yukari. As they enjoyed their cake, Eliza's thoughts felt lighter. Maybe I can get closer to Abel after all. Yukari, cheerfully. You can do it, Eli-chan. Eliza, feeling motivated by love, was ready to take on her feelings for Abel. On a quiet day off at the gym, Ted and Abel ran into each other. Ted, surprised at how empty the gym was, found himself looking for his teacher, Abel. Spotting him training alone, Ted approached with a mix of excitement and curiosity. I found you, teacher. You've been training here all along. Ted exclaimed. I wish you had invited me. Abel, focused and calm, replied, I can't concentrate when you're here. Ted chuckled. I wanted to ask you something. Have you decided which research group you're going to join? I'm thinking about attending the scouting event. Abel sighed, clearly uninterested. I haven't decided yet. Research groups at our Magic Academy are mostly just for fun. Only a few make real achievements. Ted was surprised. But you should go. There might be something interesting. Still unenthusiastic, Abel responded. Magic research is best done alone. But I suppose you're right. You can't judge until you see it for yourself. At the scouting event, the atmosphere was buzzing. Groups from all over the academy were trying to recruit new members, and Ted was quickly caught up in the excitement. Several groups approached, including the Dragon Riding Research Group, the Hunters Research Group, and even the Armor Fight Team. A tall, imposing figure in magical armor introduced himself. I'm Seagal. Are you interested in armor fights? It's the fastest martial art in the world. Someone like you would be a star. Ted hesitated, intrigued but unsure. I do like sports, but I want to join with my teacher. Seagal's captain, however, wasn't so welcoming. That amber-eyed teacher of yours? No way. Our reputation would drop. Abel, overhearing the insult, smiled faintly. Well, I wasn't interested in playing ball anyway. Let's go, Ted. Ted was shocked. Is that fine, teacher? Abel's expression hardened slightly. I don't like being discriminated against. As they left, Ted and Abel wandered through more groups, meeting various students, some strange and others inspiring. One research group, however, stood out, an anti-magic organization advocating for peace by banning magic entirely. Ted found them bizarre, as they were, after all, at a school for magic. Later, a member from the armor fight group approached Abel to apologize for their captain's behavior, offering him a sports drink as a peace gesture. Abel, accepting it coolly, remarked that he was used to such discrimination due to his eyes. Curious, Ted asked, "Teacher, have you decided on a research group yet?" Abel shook his head. No, most magic groups aren't advanced enough for my liking. Their conversation was interrupted by a student who offered to show them a special research group that might interest Abel. With curiosity piqued, they followed. When they arrived, they saw her, the infamous Ice Queen, Noelle. Abel's eyes narrowed slightly. Maybe this time, he had found something worth his attention. Abel stood in awe as he observed the distant figure of a girl known only as the Ice Queen. She was striking, her presence commanding the space around her with an air of mystery. "Isn't she an incredible sight?" a voice beside him remarked. "That girl, she's known as the Ice Queen." Curious, Abel asked, "What is her real identity?" "Ice Queen?" The student nodded, explaining, "Ah, you see, even though she's in the same year as you, she's already been chosen for the preparatory school. There's no one here who hasn't heard the name Noelle. Despite her overwhelming power, she never interacts with anyone. No one has ever seen her smile. That's how she earned the title Ice Queen. But, Abel Cohen, I feel like you might get along." Abel's expression remained calm. "I see. She's on the same level as Eliza. Maybe a little better? I appreciate your help," he said before stepping forward to meet the Ice Queen. As he approached, Abel noticed her striking blue eyes. "Blue eyes, huh? I suppose that played a part in her getting the Ice Queen title," he muttered to himself. He then called out to her, "Can I have?" She turned, cool and composed. "What do you want?" "I'm interested in the ancient magic research group," Abel said plainly. "I've come to hear more." Without a word, Noelle summoned a magic labyrinth. "Solve this," she challenged. Abel inspected it briefly, then said, "This seems fragile." He analyzed it quickly and, within moments, solved the puzzle. Handing it back to her, he asked, Noelle's eyes widened slightly. "That's impossible. No one should be able to solve that so quickly. It should have taken at least an..." Ignoring her surprise, Abel reminded her, "A promise is a promise. Tell me more about your research, GR." After a pause, Noelle said, "Follow me." She led him down a corridor marked off limits to general students. "Are we allowed here?" Abel questioned as they continued walking. Finally, they arrived at a sealed room. Noelle unlocked it with a keystone and gestured inside. "Welcome to my research group," she said, her voice devoid of emotion. Abel glanced around, noticing there were no other students. "There are no other members. I am the only one who has ever been in this group." "I see. That magic labyrinth was like an entry test," Abel remarked as he looked through some old books. "This one's about 50 years old. I haven't seen anything like this in the city's bookstores. The oldest book I've found is only around 100 years old. Don't you have anything older than that?" Noelle shook her head. "Most ancient magic books were burned during the large incident 100 years ago." "The large incident?" Abel asked, intrigued. "About 200 years ago, 4 great sages overthrew the demon Lord of the Dusk and brought peace to the world. You know about that, right?" Noelle began. Abel nodded. "The problem came after that. Humans fought over the territory once governed by the Demon King, leading to wars that lasted over 100 years. More people died during those wars than when the Demon King ruled." Abel's brow furrowed. "How ironic." "Yes," Noelle agreed. "The wars left people exhausted. During this time, an anti-magic ideology developed, leading to the formation of the AMO, the Anti-Magic Organization. They began burning magic books all over the world, which is why there are so few ancient texts left. That's quite a strange story, Abel mused. If such a grave incident happened, why don't more people talk about it? Noel sighed. Because many of the people who hold power today support the anti-magic ideology. It's considered taboo to speak about the burning of those books. Abel glanced around at the bookshelves again. I always thought the decline in magical abilities was because of magic tools. But now I see it wasn't the only reason. Good magic books are essential for advancing magic, even across generations. Noelle looked at him, her expression softening slightly. Why aren't you laughing? Abel blinked. Why would I laugh? Other people always say that magic tools are more convenient, and they laugh at me for studying ancient magic. Abel's gaze was steady. I don't laugh at other people's hobbies, and I don't like those who disregard others' efforts. For the first time, Noelle seemed taken aback. You're an incredible person, she admitted quietly. Would you mind giving me your name? It's Abel, he replied. She handed him a key. Take this. It's the key to this room. If it's fine with you, I'd like you to come again tomorrow. Abel hesitated for a moment, then nodded. I only intended to visit today, but there are quite a lot of rare books here. I'll accept your invitation. As he left, a familiar feeling stirred in him, one that reminded him of his past with Eliza, a faint but undeniable sense of unease. Ted was utterly exhausted, his body feeling as though it had been through a marathon. It's finally over, he muttered with relief. As he prepared to head out, he called to his master. Well then, see you tomorrow. Abel had planned to visit more research groups that day, but he had also promised to meet Noelle after classes. Just then, Eliza approached him with a serious expression. Would you mind lending me a bit of your time? Abel looked up, curious. What's wrong? Do you need something from me? Eliza hesitated before replying. It's not something too grandiose, but have you decided which study group you want to join? Abel shook his head. No, I haven't yet. Eliza thought for a moment. How about this? There's a research group I was planning to visit after school tomorrow. How about we go together? Abel's eyes lit up. Dragon? Oh? It's been a long time since I rode one after being reincarnated. All right then, if that's the case, we can go together. Really? You promise? Abel asked eagerly. Eliza nodded. Yes, I promise. You promised, okay. As Eliza skipped away, Emerson noticed Abel looking surprised. What are you doing here? Abel asked. Emerson grinned. Such a coincidence meeting Abel Cohen in such a place. I'm really surprised. I thought he stopped observing me. Is he observing Noelle instead? Abel, a bit embarrassed, reassured him. It's fine. No need to be so wary. I'm only the advisor to the ancient research group. I visit her from time to time. Emerson raised an eyebrow. So why is Abel Cohen here? It's nothing worth mentioning, Abel said quickly. I just made a promise with the girl in that room. Emerson's curiosity was piqued. Is Noelle catching Abel Cohen's interest? She's a special student recommended by the director. Her abilities are stronger than most of the teachers here, and she's exempt from all classes because they can't meet her needs. She studies alone in the library, where special secret books are gathered. Abel nodded. I see. She probably just wants a friend on her level. Emerson continued. Speaking of which, I've heard that Noelle's talent is overwhelming and that she might just want a friend who's as skilled as she is. Of course, Abel Cohen's abilities are worlds apart from hers. Abel sighed. My goal is to have a peaceful school life. Emerson shook her head. It seems you don't know. The moment you get involved with her, your wish for a peaceful school life definitely won't come true. At that moment, Noelle appeared. I've been waiting for you, she said, holding a book with a proud smile. I have something I wanted to show Abel today. I got it from home. Abel's eyes widened when he saw the book. Is that the Akashic Records? He asked. Noelle nodded. Yes, it's what people in my family call this book. I've heard of it. Over 100 years ago, many wars were fought over it. It's said that if you can learn all the magic written in it, you can even control the world. It's an understatement to call this book a disaster. Abel looked at her in shock. Why do you have this? Noelle shrugged. Because Abel said he was searching for a book older than 200 years. I didn't mean this kind of thing. Abel was amazed. She owns such a valuable book. Is it because she is part of the royal family or high nobility? Noel laughed. I hope I haven't done something unnecessary. No, Abel said. If anything, it's the opposite. May I see it? Yes. Only for Abel Kuhn, Noel agreed. I'll make an exception and show you my treasure. As Abel examined the book, he was impressed by the detailed magical formulas. I can't really read it because it's burned in certain places, but the content seems highly advanced. Noel watched eagerly. Did you inherit this book from your ancestors? Yes, Abel replied. It was given to my ancestors by an amazing magician they respected. Noel's eyes sparkled. I see. It seems that Daytona had a strong sense of responsibility. It must have taken her a lot of effort to recover it. Abel smiled. Ah, Daytona. Long time no see. Did you get the thing you promised? Daytona grinned. Yes, I have it. After we defeated the demon Lord of Dusk, our party spent the rest of our days fighting the remnants of his army. I promised Daytona I would give her a book I wrote. Eliza's eyes lit up. Finally, thank you. But why did you want such a thing so badly? Daytona chuckled. This magic guide for black and gray eyes wouldn't be useful at all. I wanted an item from the greatest magician ever as a souvenir. And, honestly, for the money, a magic book written by you will surely sell for a great price. Abel sighed, shaking his head. You're a magician who was originally a merchant. I see that aspect of you hasn't changed. Noel interjected. It has magical formulas that I found while researching reincarnation magic. I wouldn't mind giving you more if you were going to read it yourself. And by the way, she added, would you mind signing it for me? I'm sure its value will increase even more if you do. Abel took the book and signed it, smiling. You leave me no choice, I guess. Noel was thrilled. Why did you write my name on it? Abel replied, take great care of it, okay? As Abel reflected on the book's history and its impact, he realized the responsibility and legacy it carried. It's surprising that she actually took care of the book for her future generations, he mused. Noel looked at Abel with admiration. Please tell me more about this book. Abel nodded. I can't explain everything now. It would take all night. But I'll teach you how to read it next time. Noel beamed. Really? Only on special occasions? Only after I finish reading my books, Abel promised. As Noel walked away, happy with their new promise, Abel thought about the challenges and connections that had emerged from their shared interest in magic. It seemed that becoming friends through such a powerful book was just the beginning of a new journey. It was an unusual day at the Dragon Rider Research Group, and Abel was about to experience it firsthand. As they gathered, Eliza welcomed everyone with a cheerful, albeit somewhat misleading announcement. Hey, welcome everyone. Thank you for coming today. I'm visiting the Dragon Rider Research Group with Eliza today, but between their flirty outfits and the strong smell of perfume, I don't think what they will be riding are dragons. Ted's skepticism was palpable. 200 years ago, taking care of a dragon was an unimaginable amount of work. Dragons are creatures that move and eat a lot. Plus, because they're intelligent, they might even run away if you're not careful. I don't think any of the guys here can handle a dragon well. Eliza, overhearing Ted's doubts, looked apologetic. I'm sorry. I didn't know it would be this kind of research group. Ted nodded in agreement. I thought the same. A curious voice piped up. Well, I have a question. Yeah, the cute girl over there, what's HP? What's the difference between this Dragon Rider group and the Dragon Activity Rider Research Group? Eliza's face lit up with enthusiasm. Oh, that's an excellent question. To put it simply, we have different stances on what we do. Our main goal here is to have as much fun as we can. So there's nothing hard or challenging here. Everyone can just enjoy what they want to do, regardless of whether they can actually ride a dragon. Ted's eyebrows raised. I see. Then it makes sense how everyone's attitude here is quite permissive. Still, I'm quite surprised they're using dragons only for entertainment purposes. Eliza smiled. Well, it is true that compared to the past, this era is much more prosperous. Well then everyone, please get together in groups of 2 with one of the seniors beside you. I'll be counting on you then. Ted sighed. The goal of this research group is just looking at them makes my head hurt. Eliza's excitement was undeterred. Eri-chan, I'm so happy that you came. If you're fine with it, would you like to ride on the back of my dragon? Eri-chan hesitated. I actually already came with someone today. I would like to be with him, if it's okay. Eliza's smile faltered. That would be impossible. My dragon can only seat 2 people. He'll have to ride on someone else's dragon. Eri-chan looked concerned. But what? Is something wrong? You wanted to experience the fun of riding a dragon, right? Eliza, trying to be considerate, urged. Well, is she trying to be considerate of me? Eliza, you don't have to worry about me at all. Just go ahead and have fun with them. Eliza looked confused. What? Oh, I see. I'll just go with Senpai then. Ted, trying to reassure her, said, What? I just wanted her to enjoy herself without worrying about me. Why is she angry? Ted wondered aloud. Eliza's friend came to the rescue. It's fine, Eli-chan. Someone go lend the guy over there a dragon. Ted's eyes widened as he saw the dragon. Have a look at this. This is my beloved dragon, Saint Glory. Ted marveled. Impressive. It's the first time I've seen a dragon this big. Eliza nodded. I see, not bad. I was worried that the dragons would have gotten worse due to the decline of magic power. But it seems like I was wrong. Abel, observing the scene, was approached by a friendly voice. Well, you over there? The name is Abel, he responded. Abel-kun can just choose a dragon you like over there then. Abel chose a dragon and was impressed by its size and power. He was introduced to Pepe Euler, a caretaker of the dragons, who warned him, Sorry, but do I know you? Pepe Euler is my name. I'm the one who takes care of the dragons in this hut. Pepe further explained, This dragon in the cage over there, I would advise you not to ride it. Rather than explaining why, it's faster just to show you. Abel saw the dragon, Leonard, and was astonished by its impressive appearance. A dragon of this caliber should have been given by the royal family, right? Pepe chuckled. This guy Leonard is not that special. Leo is already over 100 years old. He used to be a famous racing dragon, but after being transferred here, he's become quite difficult. He's raged and caused havoc without listening to us, and students who have ridden him have all gotten injured. Abel looked concerned, but Leo seems to really like the younger dragons around. Pepe nodded. I can't just dispose of him, because that would be troublesome. Dragons are much more delicate creatures than humans realize. As the group continued, Pepe added, Dragons are extremely prideful creatures and do not respect those who are weaker than them. In other words, this dragon is still extremely powerful. It's simply hiding its real power to avoid being used by these humans. Suddenly, the dragon stirred. Oh, wake up, Pepe called, but Abel took command. Obey my command. The dragon reacted with surprising enthusiasm. Abel was amazed. Incredible. This is the first time I've seen Leo this motivated. Just who in the world are you, sir? Leo followed Abel without hesitation. Abel humbly replied, I'm nothing special or impressive. I'm just a normal student. The scene shifted to Eri-chan, who was enjoying the view while riding on Eliza's dragon. The streets are all so small. It would have been much better if I was riding with Abel, though. Eliza noticed her discomfort and suggested, What's wrong? Eli-chan, are you worried about something? How about we go have a rest at the rocks over there? You can only come to a place like this by riding a dragon. Having a scone while enjoying this view, it really doesn't get much better than this. Eri-chan thanked her. Thank you very much. Suddenly, Eri-chan's condition worsened. What? She collapsed, and Eliza was alarmed. My body. Eri-chan is quite weak, I see. Eliza realized the drug worked even quicker than I had expected. Eri-chan struggled. Fireball! Eliza's defensive magic faltered as she shouted. You think you can touch me with that kind of attack? Abel, witnessing the scene, felt the gravity of the situation. He prepared himself for the challenge ahead, as the group faced the unexpected turns of their dragon-riding adventure. And thus, their surprising and thrilling experience began. In the deep forest, the air was heavy with tension as Eliza stood alongside Senpai. His once kind demeanor had darkened, and she felt a growing sense of unease. Help, Abel! Eliza shouted in her mind, hoping for someone to save her. Senpai sneered, his eyes cold. Abel? The guy with the inferior eyes? He mocked. The dragon he controls suits those eyes perfectly. He chuckled, his pride evident despite his immobility. Maybe he's being killed by that dragon, right? No, no way, Eliza whispered, fear creeping into her voice. Senpai smirked, turning back to her. Forget about him, Eliza. Let's enjoy ourselves. His tone was mocking, condescending. Don't worry, you're mature now. It'll be fine, he said, inching. But just then, the sound of footsteps interrupted the moment. Abel arrived, his presence a stark contrast to the darkness surrounding Senpai. Excuse me, Abel said calmly as he stepped forward. I'll park here. Eliza gasped. Oh my God! Abel, she exclaimed, her voice trembling. Abel rushed to her side, his eyes full of concern. Eliza, are you okay? He asked, his voice steady but filled with worry. Eliza, still shaken, nodded. I'm glad you came for me. But how did you find me? I saw your fireball, Abel replied, his relief palpable now that she was safe. Senpai, now furious, glared at Abel. You inferior-eyed, he shouted, his voice laced with venom. I'll kill you. I definitely will. Abel, unfazed, remained calm. I don't want to use defense magic, he said, his voice steady. But this is enough. A shield of energy surrounded him, effortlessly blocking Senpai's attack. Senpai's rage grew. Shut up. Shut up. You can't even use magic with a regalia. You can't give me orders. He unleashed a wind blade bullet, his face twisted with anger. Abel dodged effortlessly. The weakness of many present-day magicians, he said quietly, is that they rely too much on magic tools. Suddenly, Senpai lunged again, but Abel stood his. Senpai, now desperate, called out, Saint Glory, body strengthening magic, finger strength enhancement. He was clearly losing control. Abel remained composed. As expected of a dragon, it's quite powerful, he mused, watching Senpai's futile efforts. What are you doing? Saint Glory. Senpai screamed, his voice cracking with frustration. Abel stepped forward, his tone sharp. It's not time for games. Take this scumbag and disappear. If you do, I won't take your life. Senpai faltered, his confidence shattered. What are you doing, Saint Glory? He cried again, but this time, there was no response. Suddenly, Senpai was flung into the air, sent flying far beyond reach. Let's let him enjoy his air travel, Abel remarked with a small smile. Eliza, now safe, watched in awe. Wow, this is amazing, she whispered, still in shock. You're so much stronger. Abel looked at her with a gentle smile. It's a pity to go home after this, he said softly, looking at the setting sun. The sunset is beautiful, isn't it? Eliza murmured, her fear subsiding. You are more beautiful, Abel replied, his eyes soft. Eliza blushed but continued. I checked if there were others like Senpai, but apparently he was the only one giving drugs to new students. Abel sighed. How far are you going? He asked, concern in his voice. I'm not liking this. Eliza smiled, leaning closer. Hey, Abel, I wish time would stop now. Abel chuckled softly. As of now, I haven't mastered time-stop magic, but it's not impossible. Maybe in 5 years. Eliza laughed gently. Today, you were so cool, she said, her heart lighter. Abel smiled, though a bit embarrassed. Good grief, saying that might cause some misunderstandings. Eliza nodded. But I felt it for a while. Senpai was really dangerous, she added, her voice quiet but relieved. Hey, Eliza, Abel said, turning to her with a thoughtful look. There's a study group I'd like to introduce you to. Eliza blushed again, smiling softly. Too insensitive, she muttered, but there was warmth in her words as they walked together, the sunset casting a golden glow over them. Eliza stepped cautiously into the dimly lit chamber, her eyes wide with curiosity. Strange, she murmured. I've never heard of a place like this in our school before. Abel gestured towards the center of the room. Here, he said, a hint of excitement in his voice. Eliza squinted. I don't see anything except for a statue, though. Don't tell me. The place you mentioned lies ahead? This is the lab of the Ancient Magic Research Club I told you about yesterday. Abel explained, a proud smile spreading across his face. I'm allowed to borrow this place, even though I'm just reading books. So for now, there's only one official member. Just then, a figure burst into the room, breathless. Abel, I've been waiting. It was Noelle, who skidded to a halt upon seeing Abel with Eliza. Eliza blinked in surprise. Gee, you know each other? Abel asked, glancing between them. Not sure if you could call us acquaintances, Eliza replied. It's just that our parents have been friends since they were children. Noelle chimed in, a smirk on her face. We've simply been stuck with each other for a long time. Abel's mind raced as he recalled their family histories. Oh yeah, their ancestors were the fire hero and water hero, respectively. Even so, it's such a strange twist of fate to think that the descendants of my comrades from 200 years ago would be going to the same school at the same time. Noelle, Abel said, a note of hesitation in his voice. I have a favor to ask. Noelle raised an eyebrow. I get the gist of it. Eliza is looking for a club to join, and you wish for me to let her join this club. Ah, that's right. Will you allow it? Abel pressed. Noelle crossed her arms defiantly. Abel can do whatever he pleases. I will just follow whatever Abel decides on. Eliza couldn't help but tease. Hman, aren't you quite attached to him? In exchange, Noelle countered, her gaze sharp. Rather than Eliza or anyone else for that matter, I want your attention to be on me first and foremost. Abel thought to himself. Even if she might be concerned that with the addition of Eliza, she might have less time to learn from me. Isn't that too much skinship? I can't say I'm impressed with how these teenage girls are so physically clingy towards boys. Eliza frowned. Why the heck are you holding onto his hand so intimately? Noelle shot back. Eliza, shut up. With how close Abel and I are, this much is nothing. Don't be mean, Abel thought, though he understood Noelle's feelings. She had managed to decipher about 20% of the Akashic records. If it went well, the time when she finally understood the essence of revival magic wouldn't be too far off. Now was a crucial time for her. Noelle groaned. Ugh, I too. Eliza joined in, mockingly. Even I too. Abel couldn't help but feel amused yet concerned. It's good that both of them are highly ambitious in their studies, but aren't they being too touchy-feely? Eliza, let go, Noelle insisted. Why should I? Eliza retorted, holding her ground. Abel sighed internally. Even though I can stay calm, because it's me to show such openings in front of a guy is... Suddenly, Eliza's gaze shifted. Spider? It's a species that's seldom seen around here too. I wonder if it's a pet someone kept that escaped. Abel's expression hardened as he examined the creature. There's no mistaking it. This spider is the familiar of a demon. When a high demon grants its blood to other creatures, it is able to freely control those creatures. However, why is it in such a place? Eliza turned to Noelle, her voice urgent. Hey, Noelle, how much longer will you keep clinging to Abel? Meanwhile, Ted trudged through the school hallways, feeling the weight of exhaustion settle in. As expected, going to multiple sports clubs every day is exhausting, but it's hard to reject them when they ask. Sigh, which club should I join? His thoughts were interrupted by a voice calling out, Hey, Ted, T-brother. Ted exclaimed, surprised to see his older brother standing there. Why are you here? Aren't you taking a leave of absence due to sickness? His brother waved dismissively. That doesn't matter. Ted, have you decided on a club yet? And no, not yet, Ted stammered. Fufufu, that's good. How about it, Ted? Won't you join us in the Magic Eradication Club? Magic Eradi. What's that? His brother leaned in, eyes gleaming with fervor. Good, listen carefully. We, the Magic Eradication Club, are an extra-legal organization defending world peace. We seek the eradication of the rampant, evil magic from this world and restore order. To that end, every one of our members' lives each day and night prepare to die, if necessary. Ted gulped, taken aback. Brother, I'm sorry, but I'm being educated in magic by Master, so I'm unable to join your club. Master? Do you mean that peasant named Abel or something? You're being impertinent. You look up so highly to that inferior Ida. Tell me his whereabouts right now. I don't know. I haven't been able to meet him at all after school recently. Ted protested. More importantly, brother, your complexion is really looking bad. It'd be best if you went to the hospital. Silence. Don't you dare pity me, Ted. Maybe I'll only reveal it to you. how I've been reborn thanks to that person and my true power. In the dimly lit classroom, Abel sat, staring at the board where the teacher explained the additional syntax in the magic formula. The words floated over his head like a fog, barely registering in his mind. An act of adding and substituting the newly constructed formula into the original formula, the teacher droned on. It is a technique that enhances performance. Abel's gaze drifted around the room, and his thoughts turned to Ted, who hadn't been seen since the morning. As far as I know, Ted hasn't had a cold for the last 2 years. Would he really skip class without a word? He muttered under his breath. Excuse me, sir. Abel spoke up, interrupting the lecture. What is it, Mr. Abel? The teacher snapped, narrowing his eyes. Are you going to interfere in my class again? He continued, annoyance creeping into his tone. Abel felt a wave of frustration wash over him. Can I excuse myself? I'm not feeling well. Unfortunately, I don't allow students to leave in the middle of my class, the teacher replied, his tone firm. If you're really not feeling well, you need to give me a doctor's note before I can let you leave. Abel's irritation grew. He bet the teacher didn't like him because he could solve questions easily. Sit down, please. I'm sorry for the interruption. I'll now resume the class. Abel sighed, resigning himself to his fate. I guess I have no choice if you won't let me leave. Then I'll have to make you leave instead. He felt a surge of determination, ignited by a flicker of defiance. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted. The air grew tense, and Abel could sense something ominous lingering in the room. What is happening? The teacher stammered, a look of fear flashing across his face. Abel watched as the teacher's body stiffened, paralyzed by instinctive fear. Looks like it went well for humans and many other creatures in nature. When they're in fear, their body will stiffen up and become frozen. It's an instinct, Abel remarked coolly. Sensei, is something wrong? A student asked, concern lacing their voice. My arms and legs won't stop shaking, the teacher admitted, clutching his head. I feel terrible. Everyone, I'm not feeling well, so I'm going to suspend the class now. The rest of the time will be self-study, he announced, his voice wavering. But you don't allow students to leave in the middle of your class, Abel interjected, a smirk creeping onto his face. The teacher shot him a glare, but said nothing, retreating from the conversation. But never mind that. I only gave him a little jolt. He'll feel better once he's lying down. Abel-kun, are you not feeling well? Do you want me to nurse you? A girl asked, her eyes wide with concern. I guess it was a bit forceful, Abel replied, trying to downplay the situation. I ended up attracting some attention. Yeah, I'll get better with some rest, he assured her, though a knot of worry tightened in his stomach. Just then, a knock echoed through the door. I'm coming in, a voice called out. Ted, are you there? Abel shouted, pushing the door open. It's not locked. He stepped inside, his heart sinking as he saw Ted's empty room. He's so careless. He's not here. Abel remembered that Ted had mentioned attending multiple club tours. I thought he'd be sleeping soundly in his room, he murmured. Did he get involved in an incident during the club tour? He wondered aloud. If it's Ted, it's possible. He has a history with one of the clubs. Determined, Abel set out to search for him. I'm not really good at searching magic, but I'll have to try. As he scoured the area, a strange sight caught his eye, a thick, shimmering thread hanging from a tree. What is this? A spider's thread? He wondered, inspecting it closely. But this isn't natural. It's been magically enhanced. Who on earth is capable of doing this? Only high-class demons or high-class demon beasts can produce such powerful thread. Suddenly, a voice broke through the silence. Teacher, you saved me. Abel turned to see Ted, looking disheveled and terrified. Ted, tell me what happened. About that. There's a problem. My brother. He's been possessed by a monster. Ted exclaimed, panic evident in his eyes. Abel's heart raced. He had never heard of a human being possessed by a monster. But Ted is not the kind of guy who would tell lies, he thought, knowing him better than anyone. I saw it. Spider-like legs growing from my brother's back. Ted cried. Then that means, at that time, Abel began, a chill running down his spine. Teacher, let me come with you. Ted, I want you to go to the infirmary. You've been tied up there since yesterday without drinking or eating, right? You need to do a checkup just in case, Abel ordered firmly. Please help my brother, Ted pleaded, desperation in his voice. Just then, a mysterious figure entered the room. "So, you are the rumored Ice Queen. Who are you? How did you know about this place?" "I don't care about that. I'm going to have a look in this room," the intruder declared, a malicious grin spreading across their face. Noel's instincts flared. "I can't let him damage the precious books any further." "Shut up, you traitor. All of these books, they're all tools of war. For the sake of the world's peace, I'll have all of these books shredded into pieces," the figure shouted, madness gleaming in their eyes. "No!" Noel yelled, summoning his magic. "Ice storm." The air crackled with energy as the spell erupted, engulfing the intruder in a flurry of ice and snow. As the storm subsided, Noel glanced around, breathing heavily. "He's gone. Where are you looking, you slowpoke?" Noel knew that chaos was only just beginning.